Hello children in Walnut class and Oak class, it's Miss Lyons here, and today is a new learning journey. But before we start, I just want to tell you how proud I am, and Mrs Mathis and Miss Broach and Mrs White and Mr Westlake, of all the learning you have been doing at home and in school, and how determined you have been, and how you've really risen to the challenge of learning in a different way. So we thought it would be a great chance to celebrate all of your achievements this half term before we have a little break. So let's have a look at our learning question. Now before we do that, can you remember what gateway we have been looking at all half term since we've started home learning? I'll give you a clue. It starts with E. That's right, children, we've been explorers, haven't we? And there have been so many examples of children being great explorers, challenging themselves and thinking about this question: how am I getting better? Lots of children really making sure that they're pushing themselves in their learning. So well done. Okay, children, so this week's learning question is: how have you faced the challenge of home learning? And you can see that this is a picture here, and it shows somebody going down into what's called the learning pit. So at first they're really excited, can't wait to get started, and then it becomes a bit tricky and they don't really know what to do. And then they see, oh gosh, it's going to be tricky for me, I'm going to have to really try hard, go up, oh, they're going to need a bit of help from somebody to make their learning a little bit easier. It's still tricky, and then they feel great when they have achieved their goal. So we often pop into the learning pit when we are learning, and it's really, really normal, but it can be tricky. And we're going to think this week about how we have managed this, what we've done to help ourselves, and how brilliant it has felt when we've achieved something new. Okay, and at the end of the week, children, on Friday, we're going to have some special time together. So you're going to have 10 minutes, just you and your teacher, either on Zoom or in school, to think about your achievements and celebrate them. So if you're in Walnut class, you'll be working with Mrs Mathis, and if you're in Oak class, you'll be working with me. So it's very exciting, and we're really going to use that time to celebrate all the successes we have had this term. And these are the 3 questions we're going to be thinking about this week to prepare for our celebration on Friday. What has gone well? What have I found tricky? And can I set myself a new target to help me improve next half term? Because we've been doing some brilliant learning, children, and we've really risen to some challenges and found a way through the tricky times. So it's important that we set a new target so that we can keep doing as well as we have been. Okay, children, so today we're going to look at this first question: what has gone well? And our task for today is to look at your dojo portfolio, all the learning that you have submitted, and choose a piece of learning that makes you feel really proud. Now, I've just looked through Oak class and some of their portfolios and found a few pieces of learning that might give you some inspiration. So I have seen this one. Oscar has written a really brilliant sentence here when he was learning about the baboon. And he should be really proud of this learning because he used a checklist to help him remember all the things he needed to make a brilliant sentence. And then he ticked them off as he achieved them. So he used Fred fingers, tick. He used finger spaces, tick. He's got a capital letter, tick. A full stop at the end, tick. An adjective, that's a describing word, and you can see that Oscar didn't have a describing word first time around, so he put one in anyway, which is brilliant learning. That's called editing and improving. So Oscar should be really proud of this learning, using a checklist to help him and editing his work to make it even better. So you might want to choose a piece of work like Oscar's. Next, I've got Percy's learning here, and Percy has done a brilliant job because this piece of writing is beautifully written and all of her letters are beautifully formed. But Percy's target was to use a precursive A letter. So that's a letter where there's a whooshy part at the front so that Percy can get ready to join her letters very soon. And you can see that this piece of writing, it's beautiful, but I can't see any precursive A letters, which was her target. Okay, and then the following day, she wrote a very short few sentences, but you can see that Percy has started to use these precursive A letters. Not all the time, but she has started to practice her target, which is really brilliant, Percy. So you might want to choose a piece of learning that demonstrates how you have started to meet your target. Maybe, like Shay, your teacher has sent you some comments, some feedback on Dojo, and maybe you have replied to your teacher to do a bit of extra learning. So here, Shay did some maths work, and I asked him another mathsy question. Can you tell me what 13 and 6 makes? And Shay told me that the total was 19. So he was doing extra practice by looking at the comments I had made on his work and using them to help him improve. So maybe that's something that you've done and you're feeling proud of. Or you might be like Harry and you might have gone to a Zoom tutorial with your teacher and you might have produced a piece of work with your teacher. So this is the poster that Harry and I produced together for Miss Broach to appeal for more information about the mystery in Leechwell. Okay, and Harry has included his title, just like we talked about in the lesson, Harry, and he's included this beautiful sentence that we Fred talked together, didn't we, Harry? And then he's gone away and he's added an illustration all by himself to improve his work. So I can see that Harry has really listened to me in our tutorial when we talked about finger spaces and capital letters and full stops. And because he's done such brilliant concentrating in his tutorial, he has produced a really brilliant piece of learning that shows everything he's been practicing. So you might have done something similar in a tutorial and you might be feeling proud for listening so well to your teacher. And I've got one more example here. This is Lily, and we talked on Dojo, Lily, about your short letters and your tall letters and the way that you might form your J letters. And Lily went away and she did some extra practice of her handwriting. So maybe your teacher has asked you to do some extra practice, or maybe you've decided to do some extra practice that you feel really proud of, and that is going to make your learning and your writing even better. So well done, Lily. These are just a few examples of the different ways that you might feel proud of yourself when you look at your learning, but you might have a different reason for choosing your piece of learning today. Okay? So once you have chosen your learning, children, your piece of learning from your portfolio that makes you feel proud, I'd like you to think about these STEM sentences. Can you finish the sentence for me? It says, I am proud of this because... And if I'm Oscar, I might say, I'm proud of this because I used a checklist to help me remember, or a success criteria to help me remember what I needed in my sentence. Or I am proud of this because I edited my work to improve it. This learning shows how I have improved because I have finger spaces. And I know that that's something that Oscar was working really hard on. Okay, so this learning shows he's been working hard on his finger spaces because I can see them in his writing. I challenged myself to, well, Oscar challenged himself to use an adjective in his writing, even when he didn't have one to start with. So he went down his success criteria and challenged himself to edit and improve his work. So step 1, children, choose your piece of learning. Step 2, think about these prompts. Why are you proud of this work? It might be some writing, or it might be some maths. It might be some extra practice that you have done. This learning shows how I have improved because, what does it show? How can you demonstrate how you've improved? And how does it show that you've challenged yourself? So what did you challenge yourself to do in this piece of learning? When you've thought about those things, you can decide how you're going to share that with your teacher. So it might be, for Green Challenge, that you want your grown-up to film you just talking about your piece of learning and explaining why you've chosen it. It might be that you want to do a little bit of writing about this with a grown-up. So if you choose Amber Challenge, then your grown-up might like to start the sentence, so write this part down, I am proud of this because, and then you might like to finish it off, I edited and improved my work. Okay, so Amber Challenge, adults to write the first part of the sentence, children to finish off, and Red Challenge, children to write the whole sentence themselves. So I challenged myself to use an adjective in my writing, for example. Okay, so choose a piece of learning that makes you really, really proud. Could be any of your learning from your portfolio, and think about why it makes you proud, what you've challenged yourself to do, and then think about how you're going to share that. Are you going to explain on a video? Are you going to write a little bit and your adult writes a little bit? Or are you going to challenge yourself to write the sentence all by yourself? Okay? Good luck, children, and just remember how proud we are of you, and you should be super proud too. See you later.